They built a glass paradise way too high, then the bubble pop. The silent sound of foreclosure signs are all over town. I got a bad loan, a promise they believe. Now the dream is over, they're feeling deceived. I watch from the sidelines, patient and cool, playing by a different set of rules. All I wanna do is and love and do is take the window. All I wanna do is and I'll cash up hard and watch the funds grow. This is straight up capitalism, tick tick boom, sweeping up the pieces with the concrete boom. When I do, get a call from my contact, a whisper on the phone. Another empty unit, the speculator is gone. He says a shame with a crocodile tears. He sells me their future for a fraction of last year. The paperwork's easy, a cash only deal. That heartbreak and panic is my next big steal. They get a cardboard box, I get the ocean view. It's nothing personal, it's just what I do. And a casual body, take your condo. All I want, and a casual body, and watch the dance floor. This is straight up capitalism, chick chick boom, sweeping up the pieces with the concrete boom. When I do wrong, when I do wrong, when I do. Some myself ask for a quick return. Some I rent out, let the lesson burn. They call it a crisis, I call it a sale. In this concrete jungle, the strongest prevail. No funny business, I am the business. They sold you a lead, now I'm the witness. Seek your condo. Seek your condo. Watch the funds grow. Watch the funds grow.
Happy Thursday, Miami. This is Condo Capitalism, a conversation about what's going on in the distressed real estate market in the tri-county South Florida area of Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County. I'm Peter Zalewski, condo consultant, expert witness, founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club. We're not going to talk distress today. We took a look at the numbers. There was a slight improvement, a couple more REOs, which is real estate owned, as well as a few more short sales. So we'll be getting into that next week. We are interrupting our distress podcast today to talk about a continuation of the reports we're running related to the number of condo associations as well as condo units in the Tri-County South Florida area. It's all part of our summer initiative for the Condo Ratings Agency, where we're going to be gauging, we're going to be measuring, we're going to be assessing, evaluating the financial stability and the viability of condo associations in the state of Florida, but primarily Tri-County South Florida area of Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County. Yesterday on the Peter Zalewski Show, what we did is we went ahead and we took a look at South Florida overall, going all the way back 1963 when the Florida condo law was created. We took it all the way up to 2026. Today, we're going to, this is like a part two, if you will. We're going to take a look at county by county by county. We're going to show you a big picture as to what happened, what was going on in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, what changed in the 90s, and then ultimately, as we went forward, how Miami-Dade County came out on top and is the dominant force in the Tri-County South Florida real estate market when it comes to condominiums. We're also going to make some assessments, some evaluations about what looks historically like a buildup and then a cleanup, then a buildup and a cleanup. And we're going to let you know where are we in that particular process, which has been going on for the last 60 years, when in South Florida they put up close to 13,000 condo associations, 760,000 units. Yep, you heard me right, 760. 760,000 units have gone up, and for what it's worth, and running all the numbers coming from the state of Florida, their information, what we found is 67%, 67% 80% of all condos that exist in Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County are going to be what we call vintage. These are units that are at least 30 years old or older. These are the ones under greatest scrutiny because of the milestone inspection. What happened nearly 5 years ago, I think it's the 24th of June, 2021, a tower went down on the barrier island of Miami-Dade County in a town called Surfside, right there on the border of Miami Beach, about 87 terrace or so. That tower goes down, nearly 100 people died. A $1 billion settlement is paid out to the families of the victims. Condo legislation changes in Florida at that point in time. The changes that have occurred since then primarily focused on transparency. Transparency for condo associations, the information they share, as well as doing inspections, mandatory inspections of all condo associations, not only in South Florida, but throughout the entire state of Florida. And as a result of that, everything is changing for condos. The state is in the process based on what the insurance companies want, as well as people want, just to want to make sure their buildings are safe. We're going through all kinds of transformation. We're kind of boring through a big mountain, and on the other side, when we come out of it, the condo associations will be well understood. I would make the argument we're probably going to trade condos the same way that we trade cars with Carvana, same way that we do hospitality, whether you're booking a plane ticket, the same way you're booking a hotel or rent a car. That's where I think the condo market's going. Why? Because we say condos are commodities. They are no different than oil, salty snacks, or pork bellies, and as a result, they trade like that. Now, there's been a real initiative by condo developers to try to add value. The value is added through, besides location, maybe it's added through a brand. Maybe they bring on a fashion brand. Maybe they bring on a restaurant brand. Maybe they bring on a car brand and try to get a little bit of a kicker on top of what a condo would normally trade for. However, condos are commodities. They're nothing more than cement, rebar, and glass. There's a little bit more involved with it, but basically it's a commodity. It should trade like a commodity, unlike a house, which is really a work of art. In a house, the lot shape will be different. The square footage of the house, the number of trees, where it's located on the block, is it on a cul-de-sac, all these other functions and factors. However, when you look at a condo, the pricing is all pretty much standard line. If you're in a 0-1 line, a 0-2 line, a 0-12 line, whatever the case may be, it's easy to figure out pricing. You simply adjust or adjust positive or adjust negative based on the height of the building, or the height of the unit and ultimately the view. But for the most part, it's all the same. Condos are commodities, and one thing you need to do in order to trade commodities, you need to have good intel. You need to have good data. You need to quantify the market. You need to qualify the market. So what we're doing is we're coming out with this condo rating agency. This is a concept that first came up in 2009. I registered the URL back in 2010. Condo ratings agency, and the premise of it is, well, I should tell you where it came from. I had lunch with a banker on Brickell Avenue. The banker told me that they had a bunch of loans that they went ahead and they funded related to condominium associations and condo units from wealthy clients, and these loans were not conventional. They weren't going to be able to be sold to Fannie Mae, and the bank was going to have to sit on them, but the bank didn't want to take a chance of not doing the financing, letting that particular client go elsewhere for financing, and then ultimately having whoever was going to finance the condo go ahead and steal all their business and pull it out from Bank A and put it into Bank B. So the banks wanted to know, how can we kind of gauge this stuff? We took a look at it. We got some legal opinions. At the time, they said we could be interfering with commerce, because if we came out and said the condo was a dog, or the condo was it was fantastic, it was probably going to impact pricing. A lot of way that way people trade condos right now today, they're based on comparables. They look at the location, they look at the comparables. I would tell you, for the time being, that is sort of out the window. Location doesn't exist anymore. That's the past. Today, what is all about the condo? Is it safe? What's the age of it? What are the special assessments? What are the maintenance fees? What's the insurance like? Is it investable? Can you get financing? A lot of changes going on in condos. 2026, state of Florida says you need to do these reports, these every 10 years, called the Structural Integrity Reserve Study. Year 30, a milestone inspection. As a result of the reports being done by experts, licensed architects, licensed engineers, they sketch out, they figure out, they assess what exactly is the shelf life of all these crucial components of that building. They then turn it over to the numbers people. Numbers people attach associated price with what it's going to take to fix it. A report is now given to the condo board. The condo board now has to go ahead and implement it. They have to figure out a way to fund it. They can hit people with special assessments. Typically, a special assessment lasts for about a year or so. If you don't pay as a unit owner, you're going to get foreclosed. The other alternative is to go ahead and take out a loan. Private lenders like to do these loans. Why? Because the interest rates are 9, they're 10, they're 11%. Now, granted, 30-year fixed rate mortgage is coming in well north of 6.5. However, when you talk about 9, 10, 11%, now you're really sort of talking about a situation where it could be expensive money. And as a result of that, the cost of condo living is going up, as well as the work, the swinging of the hammers to try to fix these buildings. That's all in the process. So if you don't want to live through the swinging of the hammers, and you can't necessarily come up with what it costs to fix these condos based on the assessments, based on the inspections, mandatory inspections, what do? You head for the exits. And the only way to sell a commodity in a market where there's more product than there are buyers and you see pricing cracking, what do? You got to cut pricing. And that's really kind of what we're up against. So in order to do our ratings, in order to figure out our financial stability and the viability of each of these condos, we're running the data. We're starting with a big net. We're then going to drill down. And what we did is we went to the state of Florida. We pulled some numbers. And that's what we've been talking about all of this week. And we're going to go into continuation because it's important to kind of understand, in my opinion, how things were developed. And now it's going to make a lot more sense. For instance, if you look at the inventory that's out there on the market, what you're going to find, and again, vintage condo is 30 years old or older. That's how we term it. When you come up with 30, you're coming up with a milestone inspection. Milestone inspection leads to big special assessments. Our best guesstimate is if that building is up to 4 stories, it is a $25,000 special assessment. If the building is between 5 and 14 stories, that's probably going to be about a $65,000 special assessment. If the building 15 stories or higher, you're looking at $100,000. So the age of the building is important. It's important to kind of figure out where it is, why it is, how it's trading. So what we did is we went ahead, we grabbed all this data, we put it all together, and now we're going to show you kind of how condos were built in South Florida, going back to 1963 when the Florida condo law was actually created, and you'll go through it, and now all of a sudden it'll make sense to you. It'll make sense to you why 51% of all condos in Miami-Dade County are going to be vintage, 30 years older. It's going to make sense to you when you go into Broward County, 73% or so of the condos, all condos, are vintage, 30 years older. It's going to make sense to you why if you go to Palm Beach County, 81% of the condos are going to be vintage, 30 years old or older. And what this does is this sort of gives you an idea of what's really going on in the market. We were told by the sell-side industry that, listen, the Champlain issue is only a deal with vintage condos. The reality is vintage condos represent 67% of the South Florida condo market of Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County. Anybody tells you vintage is not an issue, they are simply putting their heads in the sand and or they're not recognizing what the facts are. The facts are the market is vintage. All of the other stuff is simply an outlier. That's the little sliver. Now, what I will also tell you is what is the most popular product right now trading. Some will tell you it's the pre-construction. I would tell you, if it were the pre-construction, how does a condo right there in the greater downtown Miami area, in the Brickell Avenue area, how does a luxury, so-called luxury condo that has the brand associated with it of Mercedes-Benz, how does that, according to South Florida Business Journal, get hit with a foreclosure suit? How? If pre-construction is so great, and you're talking about Brickell area, one of the most popular areas in all of the South Florida, how does that project run into a foreclosure? So I would just sort of throw that out to you if pre-construction was so great. I don't think pre-construction is doing as well as they tell you. If you walk into a sales center, how much are they going to say is sold? They're going to tell you between 65 and 75%. They've been saying that for decades. They will continue to say that for decades. Why? You got no way to prove it. You got no way to know. So when somebody asks me what percentage of a building is sold on pre-construction, I say 500%. 500%. Just like we can get healthcare costs down by 1,000% related to a drug, that's how you can get 500% of a condo building sold. In other words, who knows? Once you get it over the finish line, once it is built, then you actually know what's sold. In the meantime, it's all hearsay. It's all just talk. It's all about trying to inspire people to go ahead, take a shot, and move into it. Just like we hear about 1,000 people a day moving to Florida. Just like we hear about how Miami is the gateway of Latin America. Even though international passenger traffic through Miami International Airport was down 1.25% in 2025. Only the fourth time this century that international passenger traffic was down coming through Miami International Airport. Now, last time before that was the pandemic, was 2020. That's the last time we did it. So we're the gateway of Latin America, but the number of population is coming down. It's also a market with tariffs. Remember, we had Liberation Day. We had it with the tariffs. We're still going back and forth on the tariffs. We're moving towards a market of what was at the beginning of the century, the free trade area of the Americas, where there are going to be no trade barriers from Tierra del Fuego down there in Argentina, Ushuaia, all the way north to Alaska. Nope. Now it's all about onshoring. It's all about lack of globalization. It's all about controlling sort of your own destiny and not relying on just-in-time type of product delivery or suppliers coming from different parts of the world. So all of it's changing. Maybe it's a good thing for South Florida. Maybe it's a bad thing. Who's to say? But there's a lot of things you need to be questioned. Remember that 1,000 people a day that are supposed to come into Florida? That's what we keep hearing. Well, if you look at Census Bureau data, 67,000 fewer people are living in the Tri-County area of Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, according to Census Bureau data, and that's looking at July 2024 to July of 2025. You're not hearing about that, though. So what we're doing is we're trying to give you insight. We're trying to give you the ideas, the numbers, so you can go out there and do whatever it is you want to do. Whether you're a buyer, DIY in it, you're going to do it on your own, you're a buyer with a broker, you're a listing agent, you can't sell a condo, you don't know why. Maybe you're a lender, maybe you're a regulator, you want to know what's going on the street, maybe you are a gadfly or you're just curious about the condo market. That's why we set up this Miami Condo Investing Club. Set it up 2 years ago. We're in our third year now. And as part of the club, we give you straight talk. We're talking condos every single day. Weekdays, 4 o'clock, I am doing a podcast and I'm talking about condos. Mondays is Miami Condo Mondays. I do it with my partner, Jenny Hortis, over at CVR Realty. Make sure you check out our website, cvrrealty.com, especially if you're in the market for vintage condos. She's got a team that does that. Tuesdays, we talk stats, and on that stats podcast, it's called Miami Condo Exchange. We look at condos like they are commodities, and like South Florida is a trading pit for condos. I'm not talking about today when you get on your phone and you pull up an app and you can buy and sell stock, or you can short, you can go long, you can buy puts, calls, whatever you want to do, or you want to buy crypto. Now you do it on a phone. Back in the day, you actually did it with a broker, and the broker would put in your order on the trading floor which stuff was traded. You had people yelling and screaming, hands out they were selling, hands in they were buying. They had a little number, and they were writing stuff down. That's how you used to do it. Well, when I look at South Florida, I see a condo trading pit. I don't see a family affording a dog living the American dream. I see speculators who are coming in, trying to buy low and sell high, but inevitably, you know what they do. They buy high and they sell low. Perfect example of what we're kind of seeing right now today, especially in 2021, 2022, 2023. Everybody came in here. They all thought they could work from home. They were happy they didn't have to wear a mask, and some of them wanted to go to Miami Beach and twerk on a police car. Well, what's happened? Now the only units that are trading are the ones that are getting discounted. The people who can't sell their units because they're not getting the price they want, you know what they're being forced to do? They're being forced to subsidize a tenant to rent out their place, and that rent is not even close to covering what the carrying costs are. This is always what we see. Very predictable in the South Florida condo market. So in order for us to go forward and to be able to rate these associations, we got to know how it works. And that's why we pull the numbers. And that's why we're sharing the numbers with you right now today. I'll tell you, you're watching this live, 4 o'clock live stream. We share it with everybody. Once the podcast is over, we're going to go ahead and do some basic editing. We'll do it for sound. We'll do it for look. And then we will put this podcast up. It'll be on demand, but only for members of Miami Condo Investing Club. So if that's something you're interested in checking out and joining, go to miamicondo.club. You'll find all kind of information out there about the information we're providing. We're not Chamber of Commerce. We're not Southside talking about trees growing on the moon. We're going to give you a straight talk as to the numbers, and you can take the information and do whatever it is you want to do. But because you're watching live, you're going to see all this. However, once the podcast is made available on demand, all of this going forward will be behind a paywall. So let's go ahead. Let's pull up some line charts. We're going to give you an idea so you guys can sort of understand the big picture type of situation in South Florida. We're going all the way back to the 50s. Even though Florida condo law began in 1963, we're going to take you back to the 50s, and I'll explain why